From Chris McCarthy finally confirming the news, to the actor expressing his excitement over joining the Yellowstone universe, here are Matthew McConaughey's Yellowstone spinoff details revealed. After all the talk and guessing, it's finally official. Matthew McConaughey is getting his very own spinoff series for Yellowstone. The big boss at Paramount Media Networks, Chris McCarthy, spilled the beans, saying that the show's definitely happening, whether or not Kevin Costner sticks around for the main show or not. Yeah, there's some drama going on there, and I'll get to that later. But first things first, not only are you getting a spin-off with McConaughey, but he's actually working on like a dozen projects with the creator Taylor Sheridan. How awesome is that? And while that's great news, here's something even more exciting. McConaughey is in it for the long haul. Yep, no matter how long the main show takes to come back, you will get a spin-off with the actor. Now that's a win for Paramount, right? In the same interview, McCarthy talked about how McConaughey is a perfect fit for his TV universe with a Western vibe. They chatted a bit in the past and tossed around a few ideas about the whole thing. But then, McConaughey started watching Yellowstone and got super into it. He was actually so impressed that he wanted to do something similar. You know, diving into a gritty world where old meets new. And Sheridan was like, yeah, that can happen. And here we are. But things were a little confusing in the beginning. When the initial rumors about McConaughey joining Yellowstone started floating about, fans thought he might actually replace Costner in the main show. That's right, after all the talk about Costner not coming back for the final season, you can't blame people for thinking what they did, right? But then, McCarthy set the record straight, saying that the spin-off will happen no matter what, even if Costner doesn't come back. Which means that McConaughey's character is definitely not the one Costner plays. Speaking of which, let's talk about the plotline of the much-anticipated spin-off. According to Sheridan, there are many places where the clash between the old and new ways of life can be explored, with different challenges and all that. He's got a bunch of ideas for this new journey, but he's only worked out the basic outline so far. So, back in February 2021, they announced a spin-off called 4 Sixes, named after the ranch it was going to take place on. After a lot of back and forth though, rumor has it that the actual title for the spin-off isn't going to be 4 Sixes after all, because the showmaker wants to include the word Yellowstone in it. Anyway, the spin-off is gonna bring that same awesome modern Western vibe like Yellowstone, but in a totally different place. This ranch, called 4 Sixes, has been around since the time when Comanches ruled West Texas. The whole story is super steeped in Western history and covers a whole country. Crazy, right? But get this, at the 4 Sixes, the rules of law and nature mix together. It's all about raising the best horses and livestock in the world and creating top-notch cowboys. The show is going to be produced by some big shots like Sheridan, John Linson, Art Linson, and many others. And even though I don't have a lot of details on the plot, one of the original show stars is spilling the beans. John Lucas, who plays young John Dutton, has said that Sheridan has awesome plans for how the characters will come together in the spin-off. He was totally pumped, saying how freaking exciting it is to see what the creator has got in store. And guess what? Even the craziest, most mind-blowing ideas in the show actually come from Taylor's own life and experiences of real cowboys. According to Lucas, it blows his mind every time he learns about the real stories behind the show. Why? Because it just adds a whole new level of excitement and emotion to the whole thing. Now, I know the one question on your mind is whether the cast is going to stay the same. Well, here's the deal. Even though the spinoff will have its roots tied to Yellowstone, Sheridan mentioned that he might not keep the rest of the cast around after season 5. Here's the thing. His spin-off idea is kind of like a prequel. And you know what that usually means, right? It's a separate story where almost everyone eventually dies or makes an exit before the events of the main show. So they haven't announced any names yet for the new show. But here's a glimmer of hope for Yellowstone fans. In the 4th season, one of the ranch hands, Jimmy, went to work at the 4 Sixes Ranch. And guess what? That introduces some characters who could potentially show up in the spin-off. People are thinking that Jimmy himself, along with his new fiancée, Emily, might make a comeback. But hold your horses, folks, because actors Jefferson White and Catherine Kelly haven't confirmed anything yet. In fact, White has no clue about his future in the Yellowstone universe, because they don't tell him anything. Yeah, he said that himself. According to the actor, he just hangs on for the ride and tries to keep up with whatever Sheridan does. White did admit, though, that whatever Sheridan comes up with is always better, cooler, and more surprising than what he could imagine. So he's just holding on and going with the flow. As for the other characters, like Rip, Beth, Teeter, Walker, and Ryan, there's a chance they might show up on the 4-6's ranch too. But hey, nothing's confirmed yet, so you'll just have to wait and see. And sadly, the wait might be longer than you think. The show was initially expected to come out in 2023. But the latest update from Sheridan says otherwise. Apparently, the spin-off is on hold now, and this news might have to do with the off-screen drama between the showmakers. Wait, what? So, Yellowstone Season 5 took a break before the new year, leaving fans hanging with the possibility of a huge Dutton family showdown. But guess what? There was plenty of drama going down off-screen too. Rumors started flying that Kevin Costner and Taylor Sheridan, the masterminds behind the show, were having a serious feud, fighting over shooting schedules and stuff. People even started to wonder if Costner would come back at all. The whole thing is still up in the air. And guess what? Season 5 is still not finished. What's worse is that there's no word on when they'll start filming again. At an event in Los Angeles, the bigwig at Paramount Network said they're really confident about Costner sticking around for the show. That's obviously great news, but honestly, I'll believe it when I see it. Here's the thing though, Costner actually skipped that event, along with Sheridan and most of the main cast. So things are clearly not going great. But hey, while the Dutton family figures things out, at least we can daydream about McConaughey joining the Yellowstone Ranch. And that's not all. Recently, Paramount released a statement saying how they hope Costner stays with the show for a long time, because he's a big part of it. So there's definitely something fishy going on here. They also mentioned how they're always working on expanding this amazing Yellowstone world. But obviously, this isn't the only reason the spin-off has been delayed. Sheridan's got a lot going on right now. He's wrapping up the final episodes of Yellowstone, working on a second season of 1923 with Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren, and also a Bass Reeves spin-off with David Oyelowo. But wait, there's more. The man's got other projects too. One of them is a spy show called Special Ops Lioness, starring Zoe Saldana and Nicole Kidman. Looks like a pretty full plate for him, doesn't it? So it might be a while before the spin-off actually hits your screens. But of course, Sheridan is fully on board with the whole thing, and with McConaughey being the star of the show. Speaking of which, here's what the big man thinks about the whole thing. In June 2023, the actor finally spilled the beans on what he thinks about Yellowstone, and the main character John Dutton to be specific. It's the first time he shared his thoughts about it. The actor said if he had to explain the show, he'd explain it as, what would men do to protect their land and family when the world tries to invade? He also added that he really admires the simplicity of right and wrong in the show. In his own words, it's like, if the law can't handle it, I will. And then it becomes, the law won't handle it, so I'll take charge. To the actor, it's all about John handling things while the law can catch up later. But hey, he loves the show for it and can't wait to become a part of the same universe. So, there you have it, folks. From the big man expressing his excitement to become a part of the universe, to Chris McCarthy finally confirming the news, these were Matthew McConaughey's Yellowstone spin-off details that were revealed.